.com and IR Station. Nancy, Smoke House. It's that urban heat. Shout out to Coach Coach time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. On the air and he just call it Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. If you got something on your mind, you can call him, get a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, now, oh, get a business. Don't outwork you, so that you can do everything that you want to. Kicking in with Coach Shine, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. On the air and he just call it Conversations with Coach La 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 Coach La 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 La.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Once again, you're tuned into another episode of Conversation. And I am your favorite around the way therapist. That's right. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La. It is a beautiful, beautiful day in the neighborhood of Boston. Although there's been so much, I just would say so much going on. And, I want to say rest in peace to Fat Man Swoop. Also want to, once again, dedicate my show to one of my poet friends, Mr. Lucci, who passed away last week as well. So there's just been so much going on. I definitely know that the world is struggling to make sense of a lot of worldly events. So, we are radio with a purpose. So tonight's conversation is near and dear, I think, to my heart and to a lot of women of color, especially's heart, because we're going to be talking about inspiration, advocacy, and community impact. And it's interesting how you can take your trauma or your pain and you can convert that into purpose. And I think the two women that I'm going to talk to tonight are an example. They are the epitome of that. And, we talk about healing and we talk about being able to just speak your truth. I got like a little feedback, so let me fix that, y'all. To speak your truth about your different situations that you might be experiencing. And it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable and to speak publicly about things that you may be dealing with. So that's what, Conversations with Coach La is all about. It's about talking to real people, having inspirational, I like to call them dope conversations, because we need to keep having these type of conversations to bring healing and understanding to our community. So tonight we have two beautiful women of the Boston community that are here. The first is the CEO. She is the founder of the first and only inspirational hat store in Massachusetts. She's both a certified life coach and a business mentor with extensive experience in grant reviewing, marketing, and branding. She is also a mentor and a member of E4All Boston's Business Accelerator alumni, which is for entrepreneurs. And she is an E4All South Coast mentor. She has volunteered extensively in her community and won the 2007 Model Citizen Award, and she co-owns JC Business Group. Some people know her as Reese's Marvelous Hats. So she is definitely in the building. We also have Wonder Hollingsworth, who is a paralegal and the group leader for the National Alopecia Foundation in Boston, Massachusetts. She is dedicated to raising awareness and support for those affected by alopecia. And she and Miss Carla Smith are organizing a significant alopecia awareness event on September 15th, which your favorite Around the Way therapist is hosting, which I'm super excited about. And we just wanted tonight bring awareness to those that might be suffering from this condition and to stop the stigma. she not only is doing things around alopecia, but she also is planning to do work around the annual sickle cell gala that she showcases her talents, among many other things, in bringing awareness to the various health issues that we as a community may be struggling with. So she's supporting overall the well-being of everybody in our community. And so without further ado, I would like to welcome to Conversations with Coach La, both Wonder and Carla. Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Amazing.
Amazing. You guys
Yes.
look amazing.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you here on Conversations with Coach La. We've been waiting for a little bit to get this conversation going because you guys are busy.
Yeah.
Y'all got a lot going on between y'all's individual businesses and this big event that you're planning. Y'all might need to turn y'all volume down. I think y'all got a little bit of feedback. If y'all got your volume on your phone, just turn your volume down on your phone. It might be giving a little bit of an echo. So tell me, Carla, we'll start with you. Tell me, who is Carla? Outside of your bio, what did you want the people to know about you?
I just want people to know that I'm passionate about my community. I'm passionate about what I do. And I love family. And yeah.
That's it? You done? Because they say
my bio said a lot.
They say Coach cuts people off, so I want to make sure I give you enough time to get your thoughts together. Some people need to pause for a second before they jump in. So I'm really excited to have you here, Miss Carla. I know you own one of the first inspirational hat stores, and you have some beautiful hats.
Thank you.
You know, that is something that a lot of people don't know. How do you go about choosing your category? Is that your catalog of hats, your inventory?
Well, I love hats. So I have a good eye for hats. So I look at hats that I love, and then I get recommendations. Like Wonder gave me some great recommendations, my kids. And I listen to people because, in business, you do have to listen and find out what's out there and what people are looking for, because it helped my business a lot. Like, even for instance, when I started, I didn't even have fedoras. And my daughter was like, you need to get some fedoras. And I was like, fedoras, that's going to take a lot to package, put them in a box and ship them. But come to find out, fedoras are my number one seller. So that was a great idea. And I'm glad I listened to her.
Absolutely. It's funny. I can remember not knowing what a fedora was. So I appreciate hat stores and just anyone who can educate you on things that you don't know. Surprisingly, everybody doesn't know everything. So I appreciate that. Now, you, Miss Wonder, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So some people may know we've had Wonder on. This is her third time because she is a woman of many, many hats. No pun intended.
Thank you.
So this time, though, we are having you here as a group leader. You're the new group leader of the Massachusetts branch here for alopecia. So congratulations on that. That's a major accomplishment.
Thank you.
And what do you want the audience to know that they may not know, even though you've been here 3 times, but this time you're here in a different capacity? What's something that wouldn't be in your bio that they might be surprised by?
Well, first, I would like to thank you, Coach La, for having me on this platform.
Yep.
You know, it's greatly appreciated. It's needed. And I would like to share that our community needs a lot of awareness. And with that being said, with mental health, sickle cell anemia, and alopecia, we often suffer in silence, and our family members, co-workers, friends don't know how people suffer in silence. And once you share a story, it resonates with others. So when people tell their testimony, it makes others feel as though they're not the only ones that are suffering from this experience, from their diagnosis, from mental health, So it's important for me. I'm passionate about spreading the word and awakening our community to the causes that people experience with diagnoses in our community.
Great point. I think, one of the things that appealed to me and when you asked me to host, and I was like, absolutely, because I know as a Black woman, hair loss is really a big deal. And as I was looking up information about the condition, a lot of women of color don't go seek support with it. And so I think because we have protective styles and wigs and hats and different things, sometimes we don't actually go and see that it is an actual condition, to know that it's just not, it's nothing you're doing wrong sometimes. We're going to get into the different types of alopecia as we discuss the upcoming event, and so people can be more aware. And also, we want to encourage them to just come and support the event, because I think that ultimately is what we can do, right? By putting resources, both in terms of access and funds, to help people that need it. That's going to be, tremendous to the cause. So I'm really excited about that. Now, we talk about a lot of things on this show, but one of the main things that is grounded in is therapy, right? And when we were talking offline, me and Wonder were talking about just the impact of finding out about this diagnosis on one's mental health, what that looks like, and that this can be traumatic for a lot of women. To find out, one, that their hair isn't coming back. It's one thing to think, okay, it's falling out. I'm gonna use some oils. I'm gonna use, some different products, and you're using all the products and it's not coming back. And it's like, what can I do? So I think, one of the scariest things is to wake up and see that you don't have any hair. I mean, I've seen so many movies that is like part of a trauma scene, right? You wake up and you don't have any hair. She's screaming, hollering, or someone cuts your hair off. Like, it's traumatic for people. So I'm curious, as we talk about this event and why this is important for you to put this event on, why this event and why now?
I'm going to let Carla lead with that story because this event was her idea, and she had asked me to join her in this collaboration. So I think it's best for me to open up the floor and let her explain the vision and her mission.
Well, this I'm getting emotional thinking about it because it's personal. Because I have close friends and family who experience alopecia, and I'm always thinking, what can I do, to bring about awareness for it? Because even for me, it was new. But as I listened to them and their story, like for instance, one of my very close friends, she had long, beautiful locks, and she got an autoimmune disease. And so she woke up and her locks just was on her pillow, falling out one by one. And, when she told me that story, and I always know she grew her locks for like over 20 years. So that cut me to my heart when I heard her story. And then I have another family member who took off her wig and showed me that she was completely bald. That the alopecia, it was just skin. She didn't even have no hair. And so I kept thinking in the back of my mind, ever since I did E for All, I was like, I need to do something around alopecia, So Wonder and we started an alopecia group meeting, and because we said we was going to bring about awareness for alopecia through a group and have people who experience alopecia come to the group, and we talk and we bring resources. And then I was like, we need to do something bigger. We need to have an event and get more people on board and talk about it and bring awareness, and have specialists and so on and so forth. So then that's how the vision came about.
Wow. I can only imagine what that was like to see that, have a friend share that with you.
Yeah. And personal stories like that don't come easy. And even in planning this event, we've met so many people who said, "Oh, I suffer with alopecia. I have someone who," and we was like, "Wow!" So many people are embracing the idea of coming and bringing about awareness and sharing their story, and that touched us a lot. And so many people just came on board and was like, "Oh, you're doing a fundraiser for alopecia? I got you." Just like how you said, and and they're providing services and their time. and they're not asking us for any money or anything. So we really appreciate all the support because we're not benefiting from this at all. We're not pocketing any money or this is full proceeds are going to alopecia awareness. And and a lot of people who do events, we know, they usually pocket the money, but we're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends on the type of event. A fundraiser is a fundraiser, and I think this one here is unique because it's also a fashion show, and it's also a showcase of small businesses that produce products to assist and help people who are finding ways to cope. I'm going to use the word cope, to cope with alopecia, because I think a lot of it has to do with that pivot and that shift to this is my new life. Now I know you guys were talking about also having Ayanna Presley come, and she's going to be there virtually, but I know she came out and decided to just show her bald head, which was a major bold move.
Yes.
Because not everybody's comfortable doing that. Not everybody's at that place of feeling that comfortable to do that. So everybody's journey and walk is different, and their impact on their mental health is different. So when you think about that, how does therapy play into both of your roles in what you're doing as you're thinking about how you're supporting others as helping professionals and your own individual struggles, if you're willing to share about your own hair?
Well, I wanted to start by saying when we thought about having this event, we thought about you. You're a licensed therapist. Like, you were always a thought about helping us move this event in awareness for it.
Mm-hmm.
You are a licensed therapist. You are all for community. I've been watching your journey. I've been impressed with your journey. So like, having you host is the perfect host for this awareness. And when you talk about therapy, when you wake up and you notice hair on your pillow and you're like, what's going on? People think about alopecia, majority think of it as cancer patients going through chemotherapy. And part of this awareness is to let folks know that it's deeper than that and it's broader than that. And I know we're going to touch upon the different types later on. But when you speak of therapy, it's really emotional because women are here. When you get your hair done at the hairdressers, you just feel like a different person. You just feel whole. You feel beautiful. So I want to spread the awareness that your hair does not define you. And I'm starting to embrace that, as a person. And this is going to be my first time saying this publicly, but I have a diagnosis of alopecia, and there's different types, and, hair falls out in patches. So when I learned of my diagnosis, I was traumatized, because I love my hair,
Yeah.
I get emotional when I think about it. So when you say that, it is very emotional. And this is actually my first time going public with it. And that's why this awareness is near and dear to me as well.
Yeah.
But
thank you for sharing that, Wanda, because I mean, I think for Black women especially, there's so much connected to hair. The whole good hair, bad hair dynamic. Like, most of us as little girls have a trauma hair story of getting either it pressed with a pressing comb to straighten it, or the first time you got a relaxer and your scalp got burned. Like, it's not all fun and games. Even getting your hair braided and getting it detangled for a lot of young little girls is trauma. So we have a very interesting dynamic with hair, I think, in terms of a community. And I remember the first time that I decided to go without any chemicals and go natural. My own mother was like, you must not have any friends. You walking around with those cooker bugs in your head. You walking around with your hair like that. It was not seen as something that a professional, that was what you're supposed to do. Your hair wasn't done, right? Your hair needed to be done. So I think when we think about all of those things, and also as we can kind of segue into the different types, a lot of what I've learned is that alopecia is also because culturally we use a lot of hairstyles that pull our hair follicles to the point that, you know, they are permanently damaged and it leads to hair loss.
Yes.
Which is, if I'm not mistaken, you correct me because you're the expert now in this, right? But that's the alopecia traction.
That is correct.
Right?
Yes.
Where, so there's some of these things are not autoimmune. It's because of the wear and tear that we place on our hair. Shout out to my stylist queen, because I wear wigs, you know, but I stopped wearing extensions and weaves because of the tension. The wigs are allowing me to oil my hair and not pull on it, because I had started experiencing hair loss around my edges and also getting patches, especially where you would get the most tension in the crown of your head. So that area has started to get damaged. So I'm hoping I caught it. But the reality of it is I don't even know how much damage I possibly could have already done from the styles that I've been wearing for years. So, you know, a lot of us, especially as we get older, start to have thinning hair anyway, right? So you have all of these elements that are playing into it.
Absolutely.
And hair is a big deal in the Black community. You know, just cutting your hair short. It's like, oh, you okay, sis? You cut all your hair off? You must be having some type of nervous breakdown. Don't cut your hair off.
Very true.
So it is very much connected to our mental health.
A lot of judgment is placed on that as well. You know, when you have a bald head, people automatically think, you know, you're suffering from cancer. But sometimes people are going through a new look. And they're embracing no longer being identified by their hair. And, you know, I just want to break the stigma that comes around here. And, you know, that is one of my visions and goals of being on this platform right here tonight and moving forward, is to stop the stigma when it comes to hair.
Yeah, it's so real. I mean, I still to this day can't believe my own mother said that, you know, and it was like, Ma, like that was the first time I had really stepped into my truth and was going outside as my authentic self. And it was like, what are you doing? You look a hot mess. And it was my natural texture, my natural curl. That was what my hair looked like. So I don't know how many other people have experienced that, but even like I said, cutting it off, going bald. I mean, I've even heard some people talk about, well, that's why a woman doesn't get a man. You know, this is why we're wearing a lot of the wigs and the weaves. And there's so much of that happening at this early age. These young women are now putting on wigs that normally you would only use if you were in the entertainment industry. So you would wear it for a movie, but it was coming off. Like that's what they're like staying in for months, are, you know, these installs. And I'm like worrying about them and not realizing the amount of damage that they could be doing to their scalps and everything. So it's very interesting. We want the long, fluffy, flowy hair. These bundles is you know, it's real. It's a culture.
It is, definitely. Yeah.
So what are you guys hoping will come of the event? What is your dream, or your you wake up and this event has happened, like what do you want to manifest?
My main thing is more conversation around it. Because like I said, you know, by even doing this event, we started a conversation. So let's keep that conversation going. You know, let's see how we can empower people who experience alopecia and direct them to resources, and even network with other people. Because another woman had contacted me and she's like, I'm so glad you're doing this so I could get to come in person, because there's many of Facebook alopecia groups, but you know, that's just online. And she was like, I'm happy to come in person and network with others, you know, who experience alopecia and network. So I'm just glad to get the conversation started, and I just like to see it continue.
Yes. Well, you guys are tuned into the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. This is Coach La, your favorite around the way therapist. And tonight we are talking about advocacy, inspiration, and community impact. And we are diving into the dialogue about alopecia. So shout out to everyone who's tuned in on the live on Facebook, Instagram, iHeartRadio, and of course, YouTube. And to all of our listeners, Chris, we see you out there. Sandra Jackson, what's going on, Shonda? Shonda's in the building. We appreciate you tuning in and listening. So I have a question for you, ladies. You know, as we think about, you know, the women who are out there that maybe haven't went and got treatment or even sought out information, what's some things that you can sort of, what can we share to sort of encourage them that may be experiencing this right now and just haven't yet dealt with it? Maybe they just put a wig on it and just you know, not ready to really find out if they have alopecia.
So for being the group leader for NAF, which is National Alopecia Areata Foundation, my goal is to, and I'm the Boston location, I'm the only one in Massachusetts as the group leader. My ultimate goal is to spread awareness throughout the community, meaning that it's not just women that are suffering from this, it's men, it's children. And as a group leader, I have to host 3 meetings a year. And I'm still trying to fill that out. And I think my biggest goal is to be a voice for teenagers and adolescents. I think, you know, with my diagnosis, and I'm just going to share a short story, is my daughter is in high school and she's aware of my diagnosis. And then there was an experience where there was a teenager at school that she was wearing wigs and the kids were teasing her about her wig. And because of my daughter being aware of my situation, she was able to use that moment as a teachable moment to let the children know that, you know, you don't know, you know, maybe she has alopecia. My mom has alopecia. And she explained to them what alopecia was, and that, you know, maybe she's not wearing a wig because she's trying to look cute or whatever. You know, she's wearing a wig because she has a diagnosis. So, you know, my goal is to stop the bullying around it that happens at middle school, high school, because we see these teenagers wearing wigs, but we don't know if they have a diagnosis of alopecia. It's just some assumption that they might be out there being grown or whatever, but we don't know what the situation is. And by bringing awareness to the community, my ultimate goal is just to spread awareness. It affects men, it affects adolescents, it affects women, you know, and that's my ultimate goal, is just to educate the community.
It's really a good point. I think, you know, it's not always just because someone is, you know, having a midlife crisis, so they cut all their hair off, or, you know, it's a beauty thing that, you know, they just wanted to cut it off because they wanted to grow their hair back. Like, those are some of the common reasons. Like, people say, I just shaved it all off. I was just, you know, I got a relaxer and it messed my hair up, so I shaved it off, and it grows back. But for some people, it's not going to come back. And that is a tough diagnosis. So as a therapist, it's just understanding the different roles hair plays and the different ideologies around beauty. And that's across the board. I think, you know, when we talk about body shaming, we talk about anything that deals with your identity and what makes you who you are. Once you take that away, people then get lost and feel like, well, they don't know who they are anymore in this new body or with this new condition. It's difficult. So it's like, now I need to sort of think about, you still have all your same characteristics. Your personality is still the same. You're still you, you know, with or without your hair. And I think that is the hardest thing, is that your people's hair is part of their identity. You know, it's part of their look. It's what, you know, makes them feel who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you change that, it's like, well, who am I now? Right. And so stepping into this new thing, or people see you and they go, oh my God, you cut all your hair off. Same thing if you gain weight or lose weight, and somebody will make a comment about that. It's just like, you know, it makes you uncomfortable because you don't see anything else. you know, and I think sometimes we don't think about that.
Mhm.
So I think
I-
that's a great goal. Go ahead, Carla.
No, I was just gonna say, and as I was thinking about my friend and my family member, when I was talking to both of them, I thought about what can we do as a community to empower people. You know, even though they experience alopecia, you know, what can we do, you know, going forward? And so, like, what words can we say? What, you know, anything to encourage them, to empower them, you know, like,
Yeah.
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 Yes. My goal is don't be so quick to judge. You know, oftentimes women don't want to wear a wig in the summertime, but when it's hot, sometimes it's 98, 100 degrees out there, and you might see a woman or someone in a wig or at the gym with a wig on. And it's because they're not comfortable with showing up in that setting as their true selves yet. And once the community stops the stigma around that and look at them and are less judgmental, it will allow them to feel brave and safe in those spaces to show up as their true selves.
Absolutely. You know what we were talking prior to getting on live, and I had said I had come across the study, and it was saying that nearly 50% of Black women experience some form of hair loss, and I was like, wow, that's really really high.
Mhm.
And I think just in the jokes about loss of edges, I mean, you know, we hear that all the time about she ain't got no edges.
Mhm.
Um, or just in general growing up and hearing, you know, people being bald headed, or she don't have any hair. We as a community have to do better in terms of how we're talking about one another, especially with little girls. Um, my mother made comments about my hair being difficult, right? And not knowing what to do with your hair also creates a lot of these problems where people are slicking it down and putting the extensions and the braids, and all of these things are all part of trying to have a standard of beauty that's acceptable to society so that you can feel comfortable going outside and you can feel pretty. So again, I want to shout out to Queen, because some people don't know I was wearing a crochet. Some people call it a latch hook, whatever you want. Everybody got different names for it, but I called it a crochet. For all y'all hairstylists out there that want to correct me, I know that y'all call it something else, but I was wearing that, and I was wearing braids, and it did a lot of damage. And so when I went to her, there's some pictures I have out there of what the condition of my hair was when I went to Queen. And I honestly was just done with it. And she brought my hair back to life. So she calls herself a hair doctor, and, you know, using natural things like oranges and aloe and stimulating your scalp and massages, and there's so many things that she's doing that I don't recall when I used to get my hair done as a young girl, them taking that type of time to teach you about hair care. So I know some of the things we'll be doing at this alopecia event is that there'll be products and stuff there. Can you talk a little bit about some of the vendors and some of the products that they'll have that people can experience if they come, when they come, not if, when they come on September 15th?
You wanna-
I know one of the vendors, he has herbal supplements. He said that have proven to bring back hair and make your nails strong. I haven't personally taken any of them, but he'll be there.
Muffin Moses is a hairdresser. She specializes in craniology and trichologist. She's a trichologist, and that's one of the things that I've learned when I've done my research with alopecia is that when you have a diagnosis of alopecia, your insurance will cover a lot of the products that people pay out of pocket for. You know, your insurance will pay for a wig. Your insurance will pay for supplies for you to maintain your wig. And Muffin will be a guest speaker at the event to explain, you know, the details of, you know, having insurance coverage, because that was new to me. I had no idea that insurance would cover certain items when you have this diagnosis. So it's we also have Lace Layer, who has a diagnosis. Her name is Arlene, and she has a diagnosis of alopecia. Everyone that we have on the panel either has a diagnosis of alopecia or they specialize in hair.
Mhm.
So Arlene has a product that's on. You can order her products through Amazon, and you can buy her products at Walmart, and it's called Lace Layer. And you know, it's wigs. You know, it melts your wig, and you know, it's hair supplies. So that's one of the items that she has. What else? Danielle Spark. She is the first Black owner of Spark FM, and she has a diagnosis of alopecia. And she will talk about her journey and her testimony with living with alopecia and embracing it.
Mhm.
So,
And also our models experience alopecia. So that's another form of empowerment. We wanted to empower them, to let them see that they can model and feel special and be a part of the events. And they're excited to do it as well. So,
You know, one of the things that I love about this is once you can change it to being shameful or something where you got to hide, and now you can stand out in the light, which is why I love Ayana for just, you know, this is me. I'm gonna come out and be beautiful and be bold. And I think that that takes a lot of courage to be that person to do that. But I think that's across the board. Shonda put out here, sometimes we can, you know, pull each other down as women. It's just when you see someone doing that, champion her instead. You know, when she cuts her hair, like, girl, that look good. I like that on you. Um, you know, I'm glad that you're doing what you always wanted to do in terms of cutting your hair. If someone decides they're gonna come out with their bald head, like, you look beautiful. You don't even have to say anything about the fact that their head is bald. You can just say you look good. You know, you look beautiful. I love your look. I think we often think we have to make a comment about the the problem, and we should look at the strength and the courage and speak to that, because we all know it takes courage to do that. So why not speak to that?
yes.
And embrace that and only talk about that. But I want to step back to you talking about the bullying, because I think that's the root cause probably to a lot of people's trauma around their hair or hair loss, is that at some point in time, either they witnessed the bullying or they were bullied themselves around how they look, their hair, or something. And I know I grew up in a family where I had cousins who had beautiful hair. My younger sister has like really thick hair, and it's long, and she always had. I always felt like my hair didn't grow. I got the nails. My nails naturally grow, but my hair was always. It would break off. I don't know what that's about, but you know, we're working on it. It's getting better. So I think people have stigma already before this happens. What do you guys think about that?
I think society. I think the workplace, when you showed up as your true selves, you were called into the HR department and said, you know, you cannot, you know, do X, Y, and Z with your hair. I think, you know, we were taught very young that our hair defines us. We were taught that at a young age. And I think the goal here is to break this, you know, to just stop the stigma around it. You know, it's taught at a young age within our household as well.
Yes, I agree.
You know, so I just want to bring awareness that, you know, my daughter, she doesn't want to touch her hair at all. She's all natural, and I embrace it. You know, I let her be her true form. If she wants to show up to school with her hair picked and that's the way she wants to show up, I let her show up that way, because I was anal with my hair growing up, because that's the way society had shown me that I needed to be. But as you get older and as you get more knowledge about you are not your hair, and sometimes therapy has to show you that you are not what society dictates you to be, you know, and that's the goal here.
I, 100% agree. I think about, you guys may remember this when Beyonce first was letting Blue Ivy wear her hair undone.
Yes.
And how media, Black folks especially, was criticizing her for not combing the little girl's hair. And, how would she let her come outside like that? And when we manipulate young girls' hair, pulling it, tucking it, gelling it down, putting we used to call them knockers, some people call them ballies on there. So we grow up very early on with this idea of like your hair needs to be all put together and all, as we called it, laid, dyed, fried, dyed, and laid to the side. And no one ever talked about what the long-term effects of just leaving our hair alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a sister-in-law, shout out to my sister-in-law, who stopped doing that and actually got locks. And for the first time in her life, her hair grew so long and so beautiful when she stopped doing all of the manipulation to it. But here's the kicker was when she started to retwist it so much, the lock started to thin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like we don't always know what's good for our hair. And I don't think a lot of our parents knew what was good for our hair. They just did what they always knew to do. So I think a lot of us started off with take care of your hair. You got to have hair. If you don't have hair, you're not pretty.
Yes. And just to piggyback on that, my sons, they have beautiful thick hair and they don't do much to it. Like I have to say, did you wash your hair? Did you wash your hair this week? Men, my son does not do much to his hair at all. And he has beautiful, thick hair.
Absolutely.
And we do too much. We do a lot to our hair that's unnecessary. We put a lot of products in our hair that we do not need. So we are our own worst enemy when it comes to hair.
Absolutely. I'm glad now that we're embracing natural hair, that we live in a time where people feel comfortable to embrace their natural hair. So
yes, I actually wanted to circle back and actually talk about what is alopecia, because we've been talking about this and maybe people in the audience, the viewers, don't even know what alopecia is. And the definition on book is alopecia is an autoimmune disorder that causes hair loss on the scalp, face, and other areas of the body. So I just wanted to define that so that everyone is on the same page as to what exactly alopecia is. And I want you to also know that there's different ways to have it diagnosed. Stress can cause alopecia. Like if you're under a lot of stress, your hair can follow by the patch in patches. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. You can also have a physical exam by your doctor, and you can also have blood tests to determine, if you have alopecia or not, and a biopsy of the scalp will determine whether you have alopecia and give you the correct diagnosis that you need in order to have treatment done on the diagnosis.
Thank you for circling us back to that. And there's more than one type. So you talked about the immune. I think we spent more time talking about the one from manipulation and pulling. So it could be one or the other. And in those cases, it's a possibility if it's from the traction one, which is from repeated pulling on your hair follicles, you may be able to restore it if you stop. And I think the main thing is when you start seeing the loss, is to stop.
Yes.
To stop doing the things that you're doing to your hair and to give it a break. My mother would say things like, you're dying in that style. And basically what that means is take it out, take your braids out. Don't keep them in for months and months. It's much better if you actually put them in there for 2 weeks, take them out, wash your hair. And I know a lot of this goes back to resources and access. So we're staying in these styles because oftentimes we don't have the money to take it out and to get our hair done, right? These are becoming protective styles because they're affordable and they look good for, the first couple of weeks. And then over time, it looks old and it needs to come out. But you don't have the resources possibly to take it out or to do your hair. So you don't have money to buy yourself the new wig, so you're keeping that same wig, or you don't have the money for your product. So I think raising money even for that, like one of the things someone has suggested was doing a product swap, right? Where you can have a meeting, and if products don't work for you, you can switch products, especially with, I think the teenagers are having that stuff on hand at school.
Mhm.
You know, you have sanitary and feminine products, but what about hair care products? Maybe that's something that we could do, is have things available to young women so that they can wash their hair and take care of their hair.
Mhm.
Or any of our stylists out there, you know, donating services. You know, I know we do back to school haircuts for
Mhm.
young men, but maybe back to school hair care sessions for young women would be really helpful, because a lot of young girls just don't know what to do or how to take care of their hair, and no one's ever taught them.
Mhm. Great points. We need to unlearn and relearn some things. So the goal here is, you all great points. Those are all great suggestions. And my goal is to get into the school system and be able to contract with the city to see if we can, open the doors and educate people, pupils, male and female, on the importance of stigma around this and how to treat your hair.
Yeah. And in this case, your scalp, because even if
Yes.
it's gone, people think, okay, you lose your hair, you don't need to do anything. But no, you can still take care of your scalp and put oils on it, and just take care of your skin on your head. So there's still opportunity to take care of your body and everything. So I think we need to make sure that people realize that it's not the end of the world. You are still a beautiful, gorgeous person, despite and above and beyond your hair. I think that's the main thing that I want to definitely advocate for on the day of hosting. So we need to tell the people, how do they get tickets to the event, where the event is, and what they can expect to experience.
You can go to Eventbrite and get tickets. Just search alopecia or alopecia event near me, and it's the only alopecia event in Massachusetts. So, or you can even go to my website, bethatinahat.com, and it's right on the front page. Is bethatinahat.com. Or you can just contact me right on Facebook, Carla Smith, or Instagram, Reese's Marvelous Hats, and I have hard copy of tickets. So there's a variety of ways that you can get tickets from Wonder and I. So come out and support us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, Wanda, you brought some dolls, some
Yes.
Barbie dolls.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that these will also be on display at the event as well. But I want to talk a little bit about these dolls, because I think this goes back to the advocacy and awareness, especially for children. So tell us about these Barbies.
Okay, so Mattel collaborated with NAF, the National Alopecia Areata Foundation, and they came up with this alopecia doll right here. And kids like to identify with their toys. I thought this was a great idea for Mattel to be able to create a Barbie doll that has alopecia, and that's one way to show kids that are diagnosed with alopecia that you know you are not your hair. It sends an important message, and they have them. You can go on the website naf.org and purchase them for $25, and they will send them to you. I have a few in possession, and I think it's a great way to send a positive message to our children, adolescents, even adults. There's adults that collect Barbie dolls.
Absolutely.
So it's a great way to support alopecia, and to let Mattel send a positive message that you are not alone, and alopecia is important to them as well, in order to come up with a doll that you can only purchase at naf.org.
I think that's a beautiful thing, because representation is so important. So we always ask every guest, about their bet on self moments, right? And that is when you take a situation similar to this, right? And you say, you know what? If not now, then when? And if not me, then who? And, I would say this is definitely an example of that. But is there other examples that you want the audience to know that will help them really understand, your mission and who you both are and why you have a passion for what you do?
I have a passion for what I do, but awareness is sharing stories. Oftentimes we feel like we're alone and isolated, and we keep things in because sometimes we were taught at a young age what happens in your house stays in your house. So we are taught to keep a lot of things in and suffer in silence, and I just don't think that's the case. I think it's important to just share your testimony, share what you're going through, and let others know that they're not alone in this process and there's resources out there to help them with their journey.
Yeah, and I call that betting on yourself.
Yes.
I think when you start to really get comfortable in your skin and speak your truth, and not in a way that's going to alienate other people or be disrespectful, but just be able to, even if it makes your voice shake, to stand up and say, you know what, this is me. This is what I have going on. And, I accept me. I embrace me. And I ask you to do the same. But if you don't want to, guess what? I'm still going to embrace me and love up on me, because it starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
It really does.
And that, again, I speak about Ayanna Pressley because I think that moment where she did that was so brave. Mm-hmm. And I think that set the tone for so many other people. And not just if they had alopecia, but anything, for you to just be able to speak your thoughts, your opinions, and everybody doesn't have to agree with it, but at least you know who you are. Mm-hmm. And what you stand for. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I've been watching you bet on yourself. I think, as I've gotten to know you, just keep on doing more and more things that showcase what you're passionate about and what you love. And just even today, coming out and sharing that is a bet on self moment.
Thank you.
Reminds me of the video, I'm not just a participant, I'm also a client type of thing.
Yes. Thank
and
you.
you heard it here first, right here on the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. You are listening to Conversations with Coach La. You guys know that we have an awesome event going down September 15th. It's going to be at Florian Hall. And I believe, what's the time? Is it 1 to 5?
1 to 5.
1 to 5 p.m.
1 to 5 p.m. It's going to have a fashion show. We're going to showcase vendors. We're going to have Southern Twist in the building with food. It's definitely an event you don't want to miss. The tickets are currently on sale on Eventbrite. You can also reach out to either Wonder or Carla directly on their Facebook pages. They have live physical tickets that you can purchase. And, we just thank you guys for tuning in tonight and listening. We know you're out there. You know someone who has alopecia, tell them to tap in to, get in connection with Wonder so they can get resources and support, and everybody's journey looks different. So we want everyone to feel embraced and loved and able to be their authentic self. So Carla, what about you? Is there a bet on self moment you want to share?
Well, the bet on myself moment is when my friends and my family members was able to share that with me. And I had to step out of my comfort zone, because I'm very shy. A lot of people don't know that or realize that. And, when you bet on yourself, and then turn it around and bet on others, I think that's in itself is a bet on yourself moment, because I could have just took that information, kept it to myself, and didn't move forward and did anything. But I decided, I got to do something about this information. I'm just not going to listen, and be a sounding board for them. I'm going to take action. So that was my bet on myself moment.
I love that, not only betting on you, but betting on others. Because sometimes people look at bet on self moments or have asked me, is that an act of being selfish? And I don't think so. I think it's like being on the airplane. You got to put your oxygen mask on first. But if your oxygen mask is already on and you're thriving and other people share their story and you have the ability to do something to help and reach down and help somebody up, that to me is a bet on self moment, because you can't we can't be in community without taking care of ourselves and vice versa, right? Like we are all part of the community. So if we take care of ourselves, we help our community because we're thriving and we are able to actually invest and contribute in a positive way to our community. And we are able, it's like a reciprocating sort of effect, right? When we keep recharging each other. So when I'm at my weakest, you're at your strongest, and vice versa. So I love that, Carla. That's a great point.
Thank you.
Can you guys believe we are like at the last 5 minutes
cannot
of
believe
the
it.
show? So I would love to have you be able to share any closing thoughts, inspiration that you want to share that you to the listeners. Like look in the camera. If somebody is tuned in right now listening to the show, what is something that we want to tell them to encourage them to help them with their healing process and just their better on self moments?
I would like to share that you're not alone in this journey. You know, as the group leader for the Boston location for NAF, you know, I am on a mission to let you all know that we are not in this alone. I am passionate about spreading awareness and letting people know that it's not okay to have these stigmas around people when you see them in wigs and you know you see them out there and you know it's hard to embrace this diagnosis. It's not easy, and I just want us to be a little more passionate and have a lot more compassion when you see individuals in wigs, you know, just not be quick to judge. And that's my one of my biggest asks in this journey of spreading awareness throughout the community.
Powerful. Well, I want to give some shout outs. We've had some great comments. So give some shout outs to people that have been on here. Thank you, Diane Vivian. She said, awesome work, Carla. You know, Shonda's on here and yes, sharing great information, saying so true. Hi, Jeff. Thank you for tuning in. Chris, we love you. Thank you so much for your continuous support. And everybody on iHeart, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We are appreciative of you tuning in every single week to Conversations with Coach Live, sharing the lives. Can you believe it? I'm almost at my 100th episode. Next week, I will be at my 100th episode.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Today is 99. Y'all in episode 99. So, Carla,
yes,
your
ma'am.
turn. What do you want to share with the listeners to inspire them?
I just want to say, you know, so many times we hear it over and over again. People look at therapy in a negative light. And I just want to say, look at it as a way to empower you as you go on your journey, you know, because we're all on a journey. And sometimes you need assistance as you go through that journey. And therapy is a good way to get that assistance that you need so that you can be empowered. And that's my 2 cents.
You know, I always say, you know, therapy is subjective, right? For some people, going to the gym, going to church is all they need, right? And then other people, they actually need to sit down with someone and process and to talk things through. And I think even with that, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show is to remove the stigma. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a licensed independent clinical social worker, and a certified life coach. And what does that mean? It just means that I have some skill set. I have some tools that, you know, I've had to learn through textbook. And some of it I already had through how I was raised. And I needed the clinical jargon to put 2 and 2 together. But I'm real big on solutions and strengths. And life is always going to life. Right? No matter where you are, no matter how well you live, how many great decisions you make, something can happen that can just totally throw you off balance. And it could be the most devastating thing that you didn't see coming. And I think that, and for a lot of people, is when their normal coping strategies don't work. And you need to talk. You need to talk to somebody. You got to be able to process it. So, thank you, Carla, for encouraging that. I'm currently taking clients. So you guys can reach out as well. You find me on all social media platforms. I'm on Psychology Today. I take most major insurances. So, you know, if you have insurance, I can accept it. And also for those that need to make cash payments, I am very affordable in that arena as well. So yes, yes, and yes. Therapy, advocacy. Oh, here we go. Hold on. That was fast.
Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Meet 981fm.com and iHeart Station.
Well, y'all know what that means. That means that we have concluded another episode of Conversations with Coach Law. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Wonder.
Oh, thank
Thank
you
you.
for
And I will
having
see
us.
you guys on the 15th.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, guys. Good night.
Bye.
See y'all next week.